I'd like to call the Internal Services Committee. First agenda item is to say the pledge. The next item is approval of the minutes of the Internal Services.
Adopts the agenda.
Support Center.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Now we'll go to approve the minutes of the Internal Services and Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee from April 11th of this year. Do I have a motion to approve?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next item is public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation, which is for those who wish to speak on any item that's on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes. There'll be a second opportunity for public participation later in the meeting for any subject. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Anyone from the public wish to speak? Thank you. I'd like to invite Lynn Arnett Bricks up to address the board.
Good afternoon. I'd like to first start off with thanking the chairman of the board and also the chairman of Internal Services for giving me the opportunity to say a few words during this meeting. I wanted to let this board know that I am retiring. It's been a long run. They say you know when it's time, and it's time. But I wanted to thank this board and certainly prior board members for all their support and assistance throughout the years. I feel that this support and your kindness made me a success and enabled me to be successful. I also wanted to indicate that I will miss every one of you. And I do wish you well. I know that there's going to be very large projects coming before this committee, but I know that you will deal with all of them appropriately. So I just want to sincerely say it was a pleasure working before this board and with this board. Thank you.
Lynn, I'm sorry, we're not going to accept that.
I support
We should vote on it. We should vote on it.
Motion denied.
But I do have somebody that's going to spend just as much money.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Mark,
Thank you.
yeah. Don, Mark would like to speak.
Absolutely. I can't see.
Sorry.
Tell Sylvia to move.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you, Chair Van Sickle, for allowing me to say a few words. And I know this is not your usual protocol to allow people to speak unless it's on the agenda, but yeah, this is kind of a sad day. When I came to the county 12 years ago, I realized immediately that Lynn was an institution here in the county. She is leaving with nearly 51 years of service, all in the same department. And I spent 36 years in K-12 public education, and I've always been involved in school facilities, and I'm involved in facilities here. So in the 48 years that I've been involved in government facilities, I have never met a person who has who grasp every single concept and has so much institutional knowledge that Lynn does, and she has been a joy to work with. She's never been insubordinate, but for one time, and I've been telling her for years she cannot retire until the day after I retire. But she is insubordinate and she's leaving before me. But she's going to be missed, and she has there's some big shoes to fill right there. But I thank the board. I was always confident that whenever Lynn came up here, that you were going to get as complete of a story as she could give you on whatever was broken or whatever needed to be replaced. And she did it with grace and charisma. And it's one of the reasons why she's had such a successful run, is because the boards of commissioners over the years have always been very supportive. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Absolutely. Chair Brown?
when I joined this board 30-some years ago, Lynn had 20 years of experience, so she taught me how the things were running around here. We designed this building, and this is the biggest construction project I was involved with the county, and she was the guide through all that. But this building came right on budget, and it didn't go over, and despite the many issues, she was very good about that. And systems about heating and cooling systems that regulate all of our county facilities, where she was the one that brought that to the board in ways that the county could save money and operate these buildings the most efficient way possible. And it took some time, but eventually they all got implemented. Many, many projects that were done here as a result of her good leadership of, she brought the information. We didn't always agree on the spending priority necessarily, but she brought all the information, and once the project was set to go, she did it. Martha T. Berry, that facility was an ancient facility, needed a lot of work, and she oversaw the reconstruction and renovation of that facility that helped save the things that she did as a part of that construction, saved us millions of dollars. So there's just a lot of experience going out the door with her, and absolutely, she is a true gem of an employee and someone that's going to be very hard to replace. But we do have got good people behind her that she's trained and will have learned under her tutelage, and we can only hope that they're half as good as you were, Lynn, and you'll be missed. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for indulging me.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Can we adjourn the meeting now?
Make a motion. Okay. Back to regular business. 6A, a purchase for Public Defender's Office Clemens Center Expansion Project for $86,909.81 from Motor City Electric Technologies, and access control addition installation for $24,990. People-driven technology, network technology for $61,919.81. Do I have a motion to move to full board?
So moved by Nard.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Jaco, you're on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This request is for expansions that's going to take place at the Public Defender's Office, and this is just the IT component of that. So we decided to bring this to the board as soon as possible so we can start looking at, getting the equipment and stuff in, as we have quite a bit of lag and delays when it comes to ordering equipment. It's pretty much, Motor City Electric, as well as People Driven are the two companies that provide most of the stuff. We're getting badge access through Motor City Electric, and then also People Driven is providing phones, switches, and so forth for the infrastructure in that building as we expand it. So that's what this is for. It is funded by the Public Defenders Michigan Indigent Defense Council Grant Fund. So this is a grant fund.
Thank you. I see no speakers. Please vote.
Chair, the system is stuck. If we could have a voice vote.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing no nays, unanimous. We'll move on to 6B and C. I'd like to take those together. Thank you. Jacob?
Currently, we have two of our blade servers, which go into our Cisco chassis. That is end of life and end of support. So we got to replace those, and that's going to be $96,292 of this $224,000 cost. We also have about 60 terabyte at $29,000 that we have to buy to expand our data domain backup, in other words, our backup environment. And then there's also some licensing involved in that, around $5,000. We also purchasing a cheaper storage device for $94,000. And this device is really to help us with testing. In our testing environments, it's very difficult to scale. Our infrastructure that we have today is pretty expensive. We don't want to buy, increase the capacity on those. This is a much cheaper solution, but we'll do what we needed to do. And that's what that is for. So this is, some infrastructure upgrades and so forth, and it is part of our capital budget.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote. Are we back?
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to 6D. I'd like to take D and E together. Budget Amendment, Information Technology, Family Planning Annual Report, Data Collection, $77,760. Do I have a motion to move to full board?
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and support to move to full board. Jacob?
Sorry, Commissioners, I didn't see that one on my list. What was that you said?
Information Technology, Family Planning Annual Report, Data
Oh,
Collection,
it's, FAPR, sorry.
$77,760.
Yes. I skipped it here in my documentation, but FAPR, there's state regulations that were issued for the health department that has to report differently than what they did before. I think they added something like 32 fields to their reporting, and the only way we can efficiently do that is with this FAPR solution, and that's what we're asking for, to implement FAPR. It's like I said, it's a mandate from the state that we have to do, and this will help the health department to get that taken care of expediently and on time, and get the right formats and everything out to the state of Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. In reading through this, which I realize this is for technology, but in one of the areas, 14, it says, gender identity is defined as a personal conception of oneself, male, or as male, female, both, or neither. It says gender is a fluid and subject concept and separate from sex. I'm glad you explained that was from the state. I assumed it was from the state.
It is from the state, that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, I thought so.
from.
That thinking is not congruent with my thinking. And I wish this had come from a meeting here, a meeting with some person versus technology. But I did want to mention that children, a child came to one of our friends and said that they're excited about, it's cool to be transgender. So anyway, that kind of wording is, I just wonder if it was from the county or state, and I figured it was
No,
state.
it's not a county statement.
But I fear for our children. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. So is it 75,000 or is it 77,760?
It's 77,000.
Because on the recommendation sheet, it says 75.
Yeah, it's actually, the original, the budget is 75,000. The actual cost after they quoted it, last year they gave us a quote for $75,000. After we quoted it this year, it was 77,000. So there's a 2,000
Okay.
difference, and that's
Well, if it could
why.
just be updated in the
Absolutely.
recommendation sheet. And then the state changed the requirements, but did they provide any funding?
No,
So this
the
is just
state's
coming
not
out of
providing any funding.
uh,
That's correct.
our capital outlay fund. Okay, good to know.
Yet another unfunded mandate.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Jaco.
Oh, Commissioner.
So is this a software program? Is this the health department feeding this information to a company that then enters it for the state? How does this process work? I'm concerned about the data that is coming from us to go to the state and what happens in between.
It goes through the M&M system that we currently have for the health department. So the data is in there, and then this system is that interface that we will provide the data from M&M to the state of Michigan. It is, encrypted and all of that. We follow HIPAA regulations pretty strictly with, especially with M&M. And so those conversations took place.
Thank you, Jaco. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11 to 1. Commissioners enter voting no.
Thank you. 6F, contract with Metro Technology Services for IT staff augmentation services. Motion to move to full board.
So move.
Support.
Thank you. We have a motion and support to move this to full board. Jaco?
Commissioner, can I ask if we can address all three of them at the same time? The reason I ask that is the RFQ that we issued were for the whole thing at once. I know we have it separated, but I would like to talk about all three.
Commissioner Hall, would you accept 6H or F to H?
I'll amend the motion.
I'll support that amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in 2019, I came to the board with a proposal, an RFQ that we did to refresh our contracting situation, because in IT, we use quite a bit of contractors. Main reason for that is some of the talent that we need for certain jobs, we cannot afford the talent on a full-time basis. Some of the talent we only need for, certain times and so forth. So contracting has helped us to augment those gaps. So the way we did it in 2019, and we did it exactly the same way this time, is to divide it up in four categories. The first category was just a general contracting category. The company that was there before that we are using currently today is Modus, and we want to move forward with Modus again. They were one of the companies that did. In category two, Metro Technology Services provide a very, very specific type of service to us that is really hard to come by from a skill set standpoint. And that's construction projects, things like that. they run that because they have experience, a lot of experience with that. So really, all our IT components of construction projects, we work through that environment. I also use the company to do client liaison work for me with some of our elected officials. It is, that business relationship that helps us quite a bit. And then the third category is a gentleman by the name of Mark Tremaine. We hired him through a company called Connexus Group. And Mark is a top-of-the-line developer. I don't have a development position to pay that kind of talent, and that's why we have him in a contract position. He's worked for us, I think, since 2011. We've contracted with this company and, provide really enterprise architect level expertise for us, and very much needed in our environment. We also had a fourth category, and it was an employee that used to work at the Sheriff's Department that we contracted through a different company, KPMG. At the time that this was issued, KPMG informed us that they're not going to bid, and which left us with a situation where we could not continue with that contract, and that person's skill set is once again somebody that worked in Macomb County that's understand all the systems. One of the things that he's an expert in is Offendertrack, which is the previous case management system for the sheriff's office. We just finished moving the sheriff's office to a new case management system. It was a year-long project, and that was where this gentleman helped us a lot. That work's going to continue because we have interface work to do and so forth. What we did at that point in time is we rolled him in at a very reasonable cost under Metro Technologies. So we've decided this time to just award 3 categories, not award all 4. And that's what I'm here for today, is to bring those 3 contracts in front of you.
Usually in the titles in the agenda, we have the amount of dollars that these contracts are for.
Well, in every single one there is, and this is the way we did it last time, is why we just followed the same principle, but it's an hourly rate that we charge. We have a contracting budget of $775,000 in total. That is mentioned in the budget area, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's mentioned somewhere. So that is there, and that is the money we utilize, for these contractors and so on. So that is, but I'm not asking to get that $775,000 approved. It's already approved in our capital outlay
I
budget.
understand. Are these 3 firms the only ones that'll be dipping into that money? Or do
These
you
three
have other
firms,
contracts?
these 3 firms will be the only ones that we, obviously hire for contract personnel over the next 4 to 5 years. And then we'll come back to the board again.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, public participation. This is an opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Any public wish to speak? Third time, public participation wish to speak. Thank you. We'll close public participation and move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to wish everybody a very happy Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I will be coming before all of you to ask you to support the proclamation that we pass every year. So that should be coming in the Government Oversight Committee meeting. And I also wanted to invite everybody to the DIA this Friday at 7 p.m. They will be doing a show for a PI Heritage Month, and it's going to actually feature the story of Hmong Americans. So it is a free event, but seating is limited. So if you are interested in attending, just go to dia.org, click on the event section, and RSVP that way. And if you know anybody who wants to do something on Friday, free event, family friendly, certainly pass that information along too. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. I was ill recently for a short time, and I want to thank you for the flowers. They were very pretty. Sylvia did a wonderful job with getting them to me, and nice choice. And thank you all again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to have the staff for lunch, and I think it was really a nice event. However, I just want to mention again, commissioners, there are still some commissioners who have not participated in the fee cost that we have that we're giving to Commissioner Grote. So there are still some commissioners that have not popped. Don't let me garnish your wages, please. That's all I have. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Seeing no other,
A motion to adjourn.
Support Zinner.
thank you.
There you go.
I assume there's no discussion. Please vote.
We had to look at putting a proclamation for Lynn together from the county board of commissioners.
Done it early.
Motion passes 12-0.
If